one of the scenarios. I quite often meet people that have very warm feeling towards mathematics, but the opinions really change the course of things because the communication is crucial thing. Also empathy is crucial.
Yes, so we're talking how to prepare human beings for the volatile world outside, and how science and mathematics in particular can help us out to do that. Obviously, AI is everywhere now. I think on my phone and on my laptop, I at least have 3 iterations. I've got the Google one, I've got the Apple one, I've got the one from my work, which I think is the Microsoft one. And literally right now, you see it everywhere. So it's a huge topic, and it is becoming, or has become already, an industry. Which elements from the field of study or actually the university here, which ones are important to actually learn to help us out to create some of those machine learning tools?
From the point of view of students, the job market is important, and it dictates now what is important. So as I can see, universities around all introduce new curricula with artificial intelligence being one of the topic. We did this 2 years ago, and introduced some obligatory and selective programs, rather courses, right? So let me try to list a few. That's machine learning, which is a set of tools, right? Maybe. That's data exploration, which is more into the statistics, or you could call it big data or something like that. We have databases, so maybe 3. We have a course which is called artificial intelligence, and this is by Professor Kisielewicz actually, that tries to summarize. There were many attempts to do something like artificial intelligence. So far, most of them failed. This one is a big success, but it's certainly...
Because he's doing that in a reasonable way. He took a reasonable path.
And yes, and he does it for a long time now. Okay. So he saw plenty of iterations.
And actual things being called artificial, or tried to be called artificial intelligence.
Failures, actually.
Right, yes, absolutely. Yeah.
But then this is now a success, at least in some restrictive success. So there's neural networks. What we else have? There is also a course about quantum computing, which I think is a new topic. I'm not sure that it really exists, but it will come.
It's like the cloud. Nobody knows how it works. Yes,
but cloud works.
It might exist and not exist at the same time. Yes,
that's what it is.
Schrödinger cat. So these are basically some courses. There's some optimization, like linear programming, which probably you do with this logistic that we have to do. So that's important, and convex optimization is always important topic. So that's the first stage of studies, the first 3.5 years. We have 3 programs. One is more into statistics, one is more into applications, and one is more into this theoretical side of the artificial intelligence, but all is based on mathematics.
Yes.
So I believe we should find a language to talk about those things, because otherwise we will be overwhelmed with the data that comes from those systems. There is no really comparison of what computer can analyze and we can analyze, unless we have a system, a language to analyze that.
Yes.
We need time for that. Humanity needs time for that. Hopefully we'll have enough time to somehow control what happens.
And this language is that more to help us out to understand how effective it is, or or just being able to actually, I don't know, set the parameters or communicate? When we think about the language to talk about it, what would be the...
We want to control it. We want to control it. The optimal language is one which really describes all the aspects, like precise language, which is then it's mathematics. We hope for mathematics, but even in the usual, ordinary, everyday experience, we need a word to describe, I don't know, bicycle, for instance, right? Because otherwise, and with the bicycle comes all those important information, how to use our man and bicycle and so on.
Right.
We need the language for that. To set goals, right? to make controls, because that's a little bit dangerous the beast, this artificial intelligence, at least in principle and probably indeed. So we need the language to control that.
Yeah. And this is linking quite nicely to the conversation we had with Tim a few episodes ago. So a professor we've discussed as well in the using AI in like medical studies or even surgeries,
Like
or even
medical decisions.
Medical decisions actually over there when it really can be dangerous around not having it controlled to a degree as well. But I guess then it is always a balance around where control stops certain projects or certain thinking. Again, I'm going to come back to some of the other areas of like business, like marketing and things like that. Where do you put the balance around how do you control it, and where do you just let it flow a little bit as well?
It depends on the cost function, or the loss function, right? So here comes statistics, I believe. By the way, I had to ask advice from my wife because I expected such questions.
Right.
So my wife, Gosia, is a prominent statistician, and she at least interacts with artificial intelligence at least because, statistics and artificial intelligence, that's a moving border and a lot of interactions there. So that's about the loss function, about, maximum, some kind of optimization. And a lot of that, which is apparently only computer science motivated, is coming from statistics. So setting what is the loss function is apparently it should be our task.
Okay.
Because we want, the humanity to survive, to prosper, and so on.
Sure.
We have some goals which are not only numerical, it may be on moral grounds. We can make some decisions, and we should not give up on that. And
we have
that's
this,
why we need to
with the,
understand.
like, let's say the self-driving cars, we have to set, so you call it loss function, that, sometimes car AI behind the self-driving car has to make a decision, and sometimes those decisions are hard. So there needs to be something that controls it, as you said, that it cannot just prevent one. So it's never like preventing one thing and this is all good. It's sometimes a very difficult choice between
at the cost of
something else.
Of viewing. There was a quite of a viral clip from Germany on the internet when Tesla drove on the sort of a single carriageway road in the town, and the person fell on the street, and the car made a decision to crash into another car on the other lane to save that person, which was a human being versus a car. Probably, again, from a probability of survival, it would probably much better to actually crash into the other car. It was a slow speed, so it wasn't a massive crash, but basically it did save the life at a cost of, or at a loss of someone else's, risk of being injured as well. So yeah.
For this reason, we need the language, we need tools,
Right.
we need some concepts.
Yes.
Concepts are more important than people think. The definitions, that is. They formed over millennia, really. Like geometrical concepts, the concepts in analysis, in probability, and these are the main input that mathematics brings. We need notions. To some extent, legal notions replace good definitions, but we should be careful. It's better to have a more precise language, because of course legal language is not always that precise. Cannot be. Yeah, and yes, so we should set the goals.
Okay.
We should train people that understand the limitations of AI, and can at some point stop it and make decisions on their own.
Which makes a lot of sense. This actually triggers a question again from the boundary of the business world and academic as well, because we talk a lot about students, and obviously this is your industry as well, and students are the main people who are here. But from like the business world and the people who are already finished their master's degree, and they're not connected with academia anymore. But they're constantly learning. So, for example, I'm constantly looking for areas when you can develop your skill set, and and you can learn. Are there any, are there any subjects in the context of AI and actually getting it to the industry, like you said, like concept, that it would be really useful for people in the business already, experienced leader, to actually come back and learn a bit more, or maybe even come back to the university from, maybe even from a catalog of those things that you have, to boost this critical thinking, because, yeah.
So we hope that we will form the critical thinking in students. They have plenty of time, like 3 years or 5 years.
Right.
And then they will be on their own, I guess. If we can teach those people that are experienced in industry to do better what they are doing, maybe because they are too busy to stop and learn something new. But I don't know. I cannot promise that. Certainly, this artificial intelligence is helping a lot, but probably people know that in the industry, in programming, writing small pieces of code is now easy with some of this software. And that it probably will change the job market, or is changing actually the job market a lot. So some of the professions will shrink, and actually we are still changing our curricula. This year we are changing the name and content of those curricula that I already mentioned, to add some more of this artificial intelligence. And part of this is using the artificial intelligence. It's not about developing artificial intelligence, which is more into computer science departments, but it's using it in analyzing data and writing code and so on. I'm using it often for editing.
Of course.
Don't we all?
If you like the topics discussed on this podcast and you would like to hear some more, please do not forget to subscribe and push the like and the bell button.
Yes, we'll have more exciting guests, and the topics that we'll discuss will cover what we usually cover, business and academia and the intersection of them.
So please do subscribe and push the like.
On that, it's what you said about this changing environment, but also about what Kamil asked about teaching people who are already in business.
Yes.
Do you think that might be, this is a very maybe selfish question, but at least in the States, we have a peak in the number of students who graduate from high school. So university enrollment will be dropping over, like I think we're reaching the peak next year. This was with like the baby boom generation and so on. I don't know how it is in Poland, but basically with the number of students possibly dropping, would that be an area where universities could make more of a headway to connect with business, to create maybe not necessarily the courses that are regular curriculum, but offering kind of short courses or something to teach people who are already experienced in what they are doing?
There is this idea about mini courses, which replace regular academic education. We are not going into that yet. About the contacts with the industry, so far the business was booming in Poland. We'll see what will if this will change these days, especially the banking sector and financial sector generally. And our students would find jobs easily. Actually, most of them would work even during studying, which is a mixed blessing, of course. We are also welcoming their input. So sometimes they give courses, and some of them work part-time or give a course. Especially that we are in need of people to help us. I mean, since we have many students and we actually need to do the service teaching to other faculties of the university. This is one of the reasons that I'm going to the president of the university today, because somehow there is not enough of us. So I would be happy to open a consulting office here.
Right.
That would be great, but people are already working too much here.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
so it's a it's a resource. It's a
resource.
resource
Maybe
issue.
a startup company from
Absolutely.
your university or your faculty, that this is actually how, like in the States, that's how many businesses start, because there are those ideas. Like there's know if you heard about MOOCs, this massive online courses.
Mm-hmm.
So these are courses that I happened to be at Johns Hopkins at the time when they created one in kind of data science statistics. They were enrolling hundreds of thousands of students.
Hundreds of thousands?
Hundreds of thousands of students online, where, you know, there will be pre-recorded teaching and so on, and, you know, students will be self-testing and so on, but really the exposure was amazing. I think by now there are a few million students who went through the courses, who went through like the certificate course you take. So what you were talking about is mini courses. So there were like 10 mini courses, and you get a certificate at the end from Johns Hopkins University.
Okay.
Something nice, you know?
Yeah, they call it actually mini certificates.
Mini certificates, right?
We are not ready to go into that because we need to provide the service for those courses that we already have.
Yes.
But some of our faculty are taking such courses.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Actually, I also participated in some course given by a major international company about artificial intelligence, many aspects of that. And I've noticed that there is a problem of language. If this is a cookbook, that's not for a mathematician. We need a structured introduction.
Yeah. And that needs work and investment of time and to make that. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, inventing is very partly chaotic, and then you need to sort out things, right? And so that's natural. That's natural.
Interesting.
But chaos is nice at some points. It's, you know, you can't have a chaotic semester, year, few years, but, you know, sometimes this introduction of, you know, anarchy or chaos then can create wonderful things. I mean, I said might
in a reasonable form.
Yes, reasonable form.
It can be a reasonable scenario.
Reasonable chaos.
One of the scenarios. I quite often meet people that have very warm feeling towards mathematics.
Mm-hmm.
And this is because this was part of their educational life that was orderly, that was pleasant, that was understood.
Yeah.
And of course, not all of our life is understood or easy to explain, and it's chaotic as well.
It's something you can come back to, and actually, a bit of structure is a good thing when you just need to just come back to it. And I mean, I've asked the question probably not in the context, or the root for my question wasn't around the startups, but actually. I feel, as you know, working in a business environment, the overwhelming, you know, volume of information, and then what I call like online trends in some of those as well are everywhere right now, and I actually sometimes feel lost in how to make an educated decision on a risk-based decision, because. If you go on any LinkedIn or YouTube, everyone has an opinion, including us right now as well. And it's what I see. The world is really jumping really quickly to those opinions, and it's almost I'm trying to find the key, and sometimes struggle and looking for places where I could actually find the key that help me out to ask a few questions to actually stay on this critical thinking path. Because otherwise, there might be a viral trend on. A methodology or a very viral or sort of a very viral methodology of things that we have in the business, and you just blindly follow it, and the business starts to do. That's why I ask whether there's a course or there's a very specific set of subjects or curriculums that it would be good to sometimes come back to, just to make sure we refresh and we have that critical thinking.
So this is about the importance of language and opinions.
Right.
Actually, I always thought that let them talk and I'm doing my stuff. But opinions really change the course of things.
They do.
Just this language, a few words can change make the decision different. And I don't know, they may invest terawatts of energy to build some, structure, to do artificial intelligence, and maybe waste resources.
Absolutely.
So we should be careful about discussing and making reasonable decisions. So hopefully our students will learn that. The process of learning is a little bit mysterious to me.
Okay.
Probably it needs time. It needs some structure. It needs some inspiration. Mm-hmm. So maybe chaos as well.
Right.
It needs to select from that. And artificial intelligence has this in a petri dish, and we are experiencing this, all of us. And we should be careful about that, of course.
Of course.
I'm in a sense a copy of Stanisław Lem in this respect.
Okay.
So a little bit pessimistic.
Right.
Can you tell us a bit more? We had this conversation a bit before we started recording, but because can I call it fascination with Stanisław Lem, or at least like following kind of his writing, or like, can you tell us a bit about that?
I've read most of that, what he wrote, and some of those books. I mean, this was maybe the most important part of my reading when I was a teenager, and then some of this kind of defined me. And I just would mention a few pieces that you might want to read. One is a little bit off topic. That's the voice, the master's voice, where a mathematician plays a role.
Okay.
In something like a Manhattan Project, and he needs to make moral decisions.
Right.
Okay.
It's not only about science; it's about moral decisions, and you can trust Lem. He survived the Second World War, and he lost his family there, and so in a sense, he was prepared to tackle such problems.
Right.
So the second one, which is and I believe Master's Voice is maybe his best book, but it depends because the others are better well known. So the second one that I will mention is Golem 14, which is a discussion of a human. Actually, it's basically a monologue of a computer towards humans.
Right.
That's interesting. In a sense, that's about discussion with the higher intelligence, with lower intelligence. I don't believe artificial intelligence is higher intelligence at this moment, but who knows?
Not
it
yet.
may become.
Who knows?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe it's becoming or whatever. So that was inspiring. And there's one which is almost unknown, a short story in the one of his earliest books from 1959. The book, the series, the selection of books is called The Invasion from Aldebaran. I'm not sure if I pronounced this correctly. And this short story is Friend.
Okay.
And maybe you should read that.
That's going to be that's an audiobook on the way on my drive back to North today. I think that's where it's ending.
There is one recording by the Polish Radio Theatre, a very old one, which probably covers part of it, but it's a short story that you can find maybe on YouTube about other audio. It's really forgotten. This book was only issued once for whatever reason in Polish, I believe, and maybe it has no translation. It's about the relation of a human with the computer, and the computer is cold and kind of, it's not human.
Right.
It's not human. But the human has, by chance, is able to free himself from this relationship.
Okay.
So, of course, humanity was formed because we had to cooperate.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had to cooperate. We had to hunt, I don't know, the mammoth, whatever, maybe the elephant, right? So it's important that we communicate. That's why we like talking to each other, I believe. That's why we like music and so on, because the communication is a crucial thing. And also empathy is crucial for the same reason, right? So this is a very important part of why we are stable as a society. And if we are able to somehow put this into the system of artificial intelligence, maybe we are safer. That's a little bit moral grounds, but I think that our security depends on that.
I think I completely agree on that. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And one more,
Yep.
Cyberyat. That's a strange translation of the fairy tales of robots. Cyberyat. There is one story. This is about robots, right? Yeah. Machines, not humans.
Absolutely.
But don't be too safe with that. So they built a supercomputer to make the life on the planet harmonious and orderly. So all the robots go to this palace that it builds, and then they are changed or produced into a perfect oval shapes.
Right.
And the planet is covered with those shapes.
Just oval shapes.
Oval shapes.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny. It's not like funny, but it's this cooperation, between humans. I just read very recently that, how Homo sapiens survived and Neanderthals died off, it's kind of, if you look at it, it's kind of weird because Neanderthals were stronger physically, and they had bigger brains. I mean, from evolutionary perspective, they should have been the dominant species among, like Homo neanderthalis should have been the one that's here now. But what I read is this cooperation between them was not as good. So, one human can be stronger than another human. But this one human is probably not stronger than two Homo sapiens or three, or a group that can organize themselves, basically can defeat unorganized community or,
Yeah. Our weaknesses is our strength. And in essence, none of us is as good as all of us.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this is a perfect summary for the conversation. Thank you so much, Krzysztof. I know you have to go. I could spend hours on the conversations like that. It's really inspiring and interesting. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for being with us. And as always, please do let us know what interests you, what sort of topics would be best to take on some of our journeys over here. And we'll see you all in the next episode.